welcome back. The earthquakes permanently altered much of Christchurch's central city. Hundreds of buildings have been demolished, but Google's new prototype allows people to see the old city mixed with the new. Here's Marcus Gibbs.
It might look like an odd-fashioned device, but this eyewear is actually a wearable computer called Google Glass. It's still in the prototype stages, but the technology is really quite remarkable. Here in Christchurch, it's allowing researchers to compare the city with how it used to look before February 2011. I'm standing in the middle of Restart Container Mall, which was built after the earthquakes. But when I put on these glasses here, wow, I see old images of Christchurch before the earthquakes, completely different to what it looks like now. Canterbury University's HIT Lab has adapted its popular CityVieWAR smartphone app to work for Google Glass.
So now instead of having to hold a phone and look it through the phone and hold it up in front of my face like this, I can just look through the glasses here and I can see the same content appearing overlaid onto the real world.
When someone puts the glasses on, they can now choose to see the central city before the earthquakes hit, or just a few days after when the streets were still covered in rubble. With a swipe of a finger on the side of the frame, the user can zoom into the picture. I can't believe there's a coffee shop right over here, but in my eyes right now, all I can see is rubble.
In some ways, it's like a time machine. You can look through the display, you can go back in time till right before the earthquake, and then in the future we'll be able to add content that will show what the mall will be like in the future. So it lets you go from the past through the present and then into the future.
Google Glass is due for release early next year. 10,000 pairs have already been sold for initial testing, and as the eyewear becomes available, it will be tourists visiting Christchurch who will benefit.
Tourists who come here really want to see the city as it used to be, and so this will give you a peek into the past of what the city used to be like.
When given the opportunity, these visitors were quick to check out the city through a new pair of eyes. What can you see right now?
It's wrecked compared to everything. It's like all the rubble and it's completely different. The container malls, there's buildings like right here, all broken and mangled.
This is really weird actually. Like there's a whole building right here, but like what you guys can see is like nothing there.
Professor Mark Billinghurst is the country's best expert when it comes to this new technology. He's just returned from a 5-month sabbatical working at Google with the Glass team. This prototype has been in the works for about 30 years, but up until now wearable computers were too bulky to use regularly.
But now with Google Glass, you've got something that weighs just a few tens of ounces that you can put on your head, and you can have basically a very intuitive wearable experience that you could never have before.
During his time at Google, Professor Billinghurst managed to score 4 pairs of the eyewear for Canterbury University students to use for their research, and they've already started working on new applications to test out.
When I'm wearing glass, maybe so I can share my view with somebody remote, and they can see what I'm seeing, and we can have a shared experience together.
4,000 people have already downloaded HIT Lab's CityVieWAR app to use on their smartphones, and once Google Glass is officially released, the research team is expecting that number to grow as people start to look deeper into Christchurch's past. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.